Whenever you're ready. Welcome, anglers. 2020 Bass Nation Kayak Series, LaCrosse, Wisconsin. Powered by Tourney X, presented by Abu Garcia Anglers. That's a lot to say in one breath, but I want to welcome you all. It's been crazy times. We've been working feverishly here, and feverishly is probably not a good word for this time of year, but we've been working hard to make sure all of our events are pulled off in a safe manner for all of our anglers, and I just wanted to say that we're glad to be having this tournament in Wisconsin, and we're glad to be back fishing. Some of our other events have just got started back rolling up, so we're happy about all that. We hope you're all happy, and we're going to have a good event. I do want to thank a few people. I want to thank Hook and Abu Garcia. Old Town Kayaks, they're a great partner, and Hook is a great title sponsor, and Abu Garcia. Also want to thank Tourney X, Dwayne Wally and his group over there at Tourney X do a fantastic job with all the tournaments and uploading of all the pictures and keeping track of the weights and all that, or the inches, I guess it is. I want to thank them. I want to thank Jeremiah Burrish with the LaCrosse CVB. He's been a great help, always is, whenever we go up to Wisconsin, and the folks at the Freight House where we're going to have the registration. I want to thank them as well. Things will be a little bit different this year. You know, we want you to come to the registration at the Freight House at your assigned time. That is done on purpose for these COVID times. We're going to have about 20 or 30 anglers per hour come through there. That's going to give us the ability to spread you out and do that social distancing thing. Wear your mask when you come to the registration. You've got to come at your assigned times. Just please cooperate with us at that, and that's at the Freight House. And you should have gotten an info sheet with all this on it. So refer to that for your registration times and make sure you come. It's done by the first letter of your last name. So A through C, 3 to 4 p.m. D through H, 4 to 5 p.m. and so on. So refer to the info sheet for that. Again, wear your mask when you come. You must view this briefing in its entirety before you come to the registration. And your board check. You will not get your board checked without viewing this presentation first. You will be quizzed on this, so make sure you view it. You're going to come in, you're going to do your board, get your board checked. You'll get your identifier at that time. You'll get your sticker for your board. You'll get any swag that we have. I think Old Town is going to be providing some things for us, so you'll get that there. You'll get a Bassmaster identifier there, and that's when you'll do that. So just follow instructions. This will run really smooth. And that's really all I've got. I just want to thank you again for showing up and for supporting the Bass Nation Kayak Series. And now for the rules portion, I want to introduce your Hook Bass Nation Kayak Series presented by Abu Garcia and powered by Tourney X Tournament Director Tyler Cole.
Hi everyone, I'm Tyler Cole. I'm going to be your Tournament Director for LaCrosse, Wisconsin, Pool 7, 8, and 9. Let's go through our captain's briefing. Eligible water for this event will be Pool 7, 8, and 9. And all tributaries and water tied to creeks, canals, everything like that. You cannot pull over to access new water. 5 bass limit for this event. Minimum length is 12 inches. Launch time will be 5:25 a.m. Lines in time will be 5:55 a.m. Lines out at 3 p.m. Photos in by 3:30. And we're not going to do a check-in time this week or this tournament because of the COVID. So we will actually send out a text once we have everything judged to bring back the top 5 or the top 10. We haven't decided, back to a place to get pictures and give the trophies out. That will be at 5 p.m. Off limits for this event, 3 p.m. Friday the 14th. Once the check-ins start, we need all competitors off the water. You can't enter the water for any reason. There's no bartering, purchasing of information from anyone for the purpose of locating fish. During official competition, contestants may not solicit information about locating or catching fish on tournament waters from anyone except other anglers confirmed in the tournament and through publicly available sources. Quasi-public websites, blogs, and social media pages set up for the specific purpose of sharing information with individuals or a small group of individuals are not publicly available sources. Also, big side note, no personal phone calls to anglers, other anglers on the water, unless there's an injury, you flipped your boat, some sort of emergency that you need to speak with another angler. Except for very serious rules violations as determined by B.A.S.S. and any rules that might lead to disqualification of an angler from participation in the Bass Nation Kayak Series, rules violations must be reported to tournament officials within 24 hours of the final check-in on the day of the alleged violation. Content usage guidelines. Anglers may use their own video and still images during the tournament. You may go live, except when Bassmaster Live has a camera on your boat. If you have a personal camera crew following you on the water, that person must not get in the way of Bassmaster photographers or videographers who are covering the tournament. Bass also encourages anglers to send photos, videos, and updates for exposure to Bassmaster.com and our social media pages. In social media, you may use or hashtag Bassmaster, all lowercase, to amplify and spread your post to the 1.6 million social fans. Alright, let's go through safety. Safe boating at all times. You're required to have a U.S. Coast Guard approved personal flotation device. While fishing from and maneuvering a kayak during tournament hours, inflatable belt type PFDs are not allowed. All kayaks must be equipped with an emergency whistle and 360-degree light, or installed LEDs that are visible from all directions. Unless you're launching, and say you launch late and the sun is up, you don't need those on. Competitors may leave their boat to seek shelter in bad weather or when danger is imminent. At the discretion of the tournament director, tournament days may be shortened, postponed, or canceled due to unsafe weather or water conditions. Competitors are expected to use sound judgment and are accountable for his or her actions when faced with a potentially dangerous situation. In the event of an emergency situation, competitors should call 911 first and then notify tournament officials as soon as possible. Alright, code of conduct. This is something that's posted in our rules and everybody should take a look at. I'm just going to cruise over here real quick. Competitors in the bass tournaments are expected to follow high standards of sportsmanship, courtesy, safety, and conservation. Any infraction of these fundamental sporting principles may be deemed cause for qualification. Use of drugs or the use of alcohol other than those drugs purchased over the counter or prescribed by a licensed physician by any competitor during the official practice or during the tournament will not be tolerated and shall be cause for automatic disqualification from this and all future bass tournaments. No alcoholic beverages or prohibited drugs shall be allowed in the boats during the official practice or competition days. All competitors are bound by prevailing statutes and regulations of the various states in which they fish. Some regulations may differ from the rules, resulting in fines, citations, and other penalties at the discretion of law enforcement, and may or may not result in tournament penalties. Anglers participating in any bass sanctioned event shall observe this code of conduct and applicable rules for the specific event in which they are participating. This includes your families, friends. Anglers are frequently in the public eye and considered role models by young people. Therefore, it's imperative for the tournament competitors to demonstrate good sportsmanship in fishing. Sportsmanship is defined as fair play, respect for opponents, and polite behavior while competing in the sport. Following are examples of unacceptable behavior by competitors or family members of competitors in the Bass event will be cause for penalties as outlined in this document. Heated public disagreements with Bass officials, other competitors, and fans and volunteers during an event. Public attacks through media, including social media, upon the integrity of Bass rules or officials. Public comments that an angler or family knows or should reasonably know will harm the reputation of Bass, Bass officials, and its sponsors. Displays of anger or displeasure for reasons related to fishing competition or the event, where members of the public, including other anglers, spectators, and the media are present. Publicly questioning or criticizing a tournament official or official decision, ruling, or penalty except through the proper channels. Abuse, physical, verbal, threatening, or slanderous of tournament officials, volunteers, fellow competitors, and or others connected with Bass event, including comments on social media. Offensive or slanderous comments with racial, cultural, or sexual overtones regarding event officials, event personnel, or fellow anglers. Intentionally interfering with a fellow angler's ability to compete, for example. Working with a non-competitor to block other anglers or hold spots before or during tournament hours. So just keep it upright out there, guys. Alright, protest and reporting. Each competitor agrees to report to the tournament director immediately any violation or infraction of any tournament rule. Failure to report violations may be cause for disqualification. Official protest must be filed in accordance with Rule 1. All parties of interest will be provided a copy. Truth verification test. By registering and or placing his or her signature on the official tournament entry form, each competitor agrees to submit to a truth verification test and abide by its conclusion should he or she be accused of any rule violation. Ties. Single day event. Ties will be broken by the longest fish, followed by the next longest until all the fish have been counted. If a tie still exists, the tournament director will divide cash, prizes, and points among the anglers involved in the tie. Big bass ties will be broken by the next legal largest fish over all days of the tournament, and so on. Talk about watercraft real quick. Watercraft propulsion is restricted to paddle, pedal, pole, or electric motor. The use of manual or motorized anchor system is permitted. Mothershipping, tethering, holding, or any transportation coordination with non-competitors is strictly prohibited unless approved by Bass officials due to an emergency situation. By officially entering, contestants agree to submit their kayak to an inspection by Bass personnel. Anglers may shuttle between each other as long as both are registered for the event. And going back to the mothershipping and transportation coordination, that includes camera boats. So camera crews, you can't ride with your camera crew or float to your camera crew or get a ride back with them. So just if you have any questions on that, ask me at the check-in. Alright, tackling equipment. All bass must be caught alive in a conventional sporting manner by the angler out of their vessel. All lures must adhere to state regulations. Only artificial lures may be used with the exception of pork trailers and biodegradable soft baits. Alabama rigs and similar umbrella-type rigs are allowed and are only limited by the laws within the states they are fishing. Check your law books of how many you can have. I won't make an official statement on that, but because we're in 3 different states under 3 different bodies, 3 different governing bodies. Only 1 fishing rod may be used at a time. Each cast must be completed before another cast is allowed. There can never be more than 1 lure from 1 rod actively fishing in the water at any time. Trolling. as a method of fishing is not allowed. Long lining and drifting with current winds are allowed. No fish are to be kept on stringers. Fish gripping devices are acceptable to temporarily hold fish in the water. Otherwise, follow all other state guidelines. There are 3 different sets of them depending on where you're fishing. Permitted fishing locations. Restrictions, designated launch points, official tournament waters, and other location mandates may be issued for individual events. Contestants may fish anywhere on tournament waters available to the public and accessible by kayaks except areas posted or otherwise designated as off limits, no boats, keep out, restricted, no trespassing, or no fishing, or similar language or markings intended to restrict public access by B.A.S.S. Commercial property owners and or local, state, or federal officials. All fishing must be conducted from inside the kayak unless otherwise stated by tournament officials. At no time may a contestant leave the kayak to land a fish, photograph, submit a fish, or to make the kayak more accessible to fishing water. The cutting of trees, bushes, logs after the start of pre-tournament meeting and or the removal of official, local, state, or federal barricades at any time to make an area more accessible by kayak is strictly prohibited and may result in disqualification from the tournament. Boats may never be tethered to buoys or safety signs. The use of ropes, cables, chains, or any type of block and tackle system to maneuver a kayak into fishing waters is strictly prohibited. Using any items including the kayak or fishing line to block off an area to other competitors or anglers is strictly prohibited. Scoring. Scoring is determined by length using quarter-inch increments of each contestant's catch during each tournament day via the catch photo release method. Each competitor will be provided with a unique identifier for the tournament. You'll receive that on Friday night. The 5 longest verified lengths will be totaled for the angler's score. Officials will round down and to the nearest quarter inch. Only the black bass species consisting of the following: largemouth, spotted, Guadalupe, shoal, and smallmouth bass, and any hybrid of the above are accepted. Best 5. All fish must be 12 inches. Bass submitted that fail to measure 12 inches with the mouth completely closed will not be scored. A submitted fish will only count once to the angler's aggregate score. Measuring devices. The hog trough and aluminum catchboard. The new carbonates they're not okayed yet for tournament use. We'll definitely be looking at them here soon. It's the only 2 boards you can use for this event. Contestants must bring their own measuring device. Your measuring device will be inspected at the board check on Friday and can be checked anytime during the tournament, before, during, and after. Anyone found to be using a measuring device that's determined to not be legal will be disqualified. Ensure the markings on your measuring device are clearly marked and can be seen by the scorer. That's me. Mark your lines up, make them look good. Wash your hog troughs up, or wash your catchboards up. Make sure the lines are clean and easy to read. Put a sticker on your fence if you can. If you're using the yellow hog trough board, they get tough. Sometimes the sun gets right and you can't tell if they're touching or not. And I'm only going to judge what I can see. I'm not going to be guessing. We'll get into that here real quick. Good morning. We're going to do a quick tutorial on how to measure a fish for a tournament. Just thought I'd throw this out to help the newer folks and give some quick tips for anybody else. Let me get you flipped around here and I'll show you what I do. Alright, so the first thing I do is I get the fish laid out, get him up tight to the fence, and then I position the tail. So in B.A.S.S, we can only take measurements of what's in the paint in this area here. So Keep your fingers off the tail. Keep your fingers out of the gill plate. You can lay on top of the gill plate, but not underneath it. So normally you'll have your tourney tag out here. Try to keep 2-inch marks between that and your tourney tag. That way we have no issues of measuring or knowing what your length is. Then you just take back, get it all in full frame, get your tourney tag in the frame, and you're ready to go. Snap your picture, double check your pictures, make sure they're clear. Let's get this fish back here. All right, cool. Make sure they're clear, make sure your numbers are easy to read, make sure your lines are good if you're using a hog trough. All right, guys, thanks a lot. All right, photo criteria. Each fish photo must include all the following criteria to avoid penalties or disqualifications. All right, here it is, guys. Fish facing left. Always facing left. I don't care what way it uploads to Tourney X as long as that fish is facing left when the photo is taken. Its belly to your belly, dorsal fin up. I must be able to see the whole fence. I must be able to see the tail. And I must be able to see the whole identifier. Tail must be laying flat on the board. Don't cover the eye. Don't slide your hand under that gill plate. You can set it on top of the gill plate, but not underneath it. So in bass rules it says pinching a tail is not permitted. Okay, what they mean by that is if you physically pinch it and take the photo. Okay, you can manipulate the tail. Okay, get it set to get your longest length, then get your hand off it. Move your hand back to the front of the fish. We will measure on a catch board. Official measurements will be taken in the paint, not off the plastic edges of the board. What is in the paint is what scores. So if you gotta manipulate your tail to get your longest read, get your hand off it and go from there. The identifier has to be in the picture and has to be 100%. I have to be able to see the whole thing. Otherwise we will DQ the fish. No holding devices in the fish, no lures in the fish. Yep, I need to see the lip eye and the tail. If the fish has a dead eye, or a glossy eye, or a white eye, take a video with the fish laying on the board, just a quick little 5-second video after you've got your photos. Take it from where you pick it up off the board and send me a video of it swimming away. That to me says enough. We all know that there's a lot of fish out there that do have glass eyes. So any questionable issues with a fish should be immediately brought to my attention. So get a hold of me. If you have an issue with a fish, just shoot me a message and we'll go from there. The quality of the photo submitted is the responsibility of the angler. That's on you guys to take good pictures. So scoring penalties: mouth opens, a 1-inch deduction. Lip or tail not touching the board will DQ the fish. Excessive marking of the hog trough, which we'll discuss on Friday night at the check-in. It'll be rounded down to the next 1/4 inch. So now the big stuff. And I mean the big stuff. Advancing to the Bass Nation Kayak Series Championship. The top 20% or 20 anglers, whichever is greater, from each Bass Nation Kayak National Series event will advance. Any angler that fishes 4 out of the 5 national regionals will advance to the Bass Nation Kayak Series. So we're taking 20, guys. Top 20 are going to go to the Classic. So that pretty much concludes everything I got. If you have any questions, bring them to board check. And remember, the big one. And we'll see you guys on Friday night at the Freight House in LaCrosse. Shaping up to be a really good event. All right, thanks, guys.